So let's talk about another process here, and welcome everybody. Today is the 25th of March, 2021, and we're here in Discord in Dex Atomix. It's my turn in the barrel. I'm going to be coming in here periodically throughout the day and throughout the night if I get chances between this 8 and 11 o'clock. Not every single day, but for the majority of days when we're in a process of trading. In the Dex Atomix area, this is really saved for those manual traders. If you're in manually trading and you're here wanting to learn, and you're here wanting to learn the look left mentality and the look left process, myself, David M., there's going to be other people that are going to be in this room showing what we're looking at when we're taking trades. These trades are not to be taken live. If you're just starting out, is to learn how to practice and find your levels on working with this solution. Okay. In our ZDON system, which trades automatically, we have come up to a process we call meeting your goal. I put a video out today for the Dex Delta signals and meeting your goal. If you're in the Dex Atomix and you're here, I misspelled Atomics in that chat room there, idiot. If you're in using Dex Delta signals along with your Dex Atomix, this is a very powerful system for you at that level, because you got Ron and Jerry and David all creating the backtesting and data from Dex Delta signals. So that's a very easy add-on. If you have the Dex Atomix, you should have access to the Dex Delta. That'll help you decipher those trades. So when those things come over, jump into Dex Delta signals and have a look at that AUD USD and what this would be for you, and why we've chosen that level, 7584 or high or lower, to take those trades and why to utilize them. And I'll show you and dissect that for you here in this next part of the segment. And it's very easy to do when using TradingView, because we're just going to pop up here to AUD USD. I'm going to open up all times here, 1700 to, oops, sorry, no, 1900 to 1700, and do medium risk. Okay. We're going to pop back using our replay tool right about there. We're going to press play. And there it goes. Okay. Oop. Did I do that right? No, I mussed it up. And now hit play. Yeah, I'm going to hit pause right now, and we're going to kind of analyze the trade. Now, again, remember what I said when we first would come into a trade, we would look at, or the signal, we would look at the previous history. What is the pair doing? Well, the pair is coming down on a moving average that's been going for some time, right? Lower lows, lower highs. Seems to be evident that this is a downtrend. And then you get a little bit, because we're looking how far out is the particular pair. So it's not very far, right? So we need to give this some wiggle room. Why? Because we're coming down and flatlining out. There's only two ways it could go. It could continue on the continuation of trade for downtrend, or it could devaluate and then start to go back up again. The buys start winning. So how do we protect ourselves against that? Well, the first thing we have to do is look how far has the market moved over the last 4 hours, and that's here, right? So if we're still pretty close to here, because remember, in order for this buy to work, it needs to buy the trade we're on. But if we're too close, because remember, it wants to come back to the mean, right, before it takes off, unless it already came back to the mean, it takes off. So we want to have the ability to look at the previous trade, but let's look at we're on medium. Let's look at low risk and see where we're at. Oh, I also went to the wrong one. It's supposed to be the AUD USD, I think, but either way. But if we look at this trade, is this something you would get into? If it's too far away or not far enough or too close to this process, right? We don't do at the money trades at this level. We wanted to pick up, but when you don't have a lot of information, like over the last 2 hours, it's been sort of just staying real close to the mean. We want pairs and trades when that kind of look like when a pair pushes past the moving average, to be in an area where we know that it's going to come back about halfway from where it started at, right? So if it broke here and it comes up, we want to be right around halfway in that process, somewhere in between, 1/4 to halfway to where it's at, right? If the signal comes out and this is the tip, somewhere in between here, we want to be on this particular trade. So I won't put a live trade here because this is actually the past, so we're just doing a replay. But if I was to do a trade, I would look for a statement that was here or maybe a little bit lower. And I would probably even go underneath the moving average. And remember, you don't have to go with the one closest. You can go with one close or further down. So you don't have to go with the next one down, especially at night when you got the Euro JPY. I think it has, what does it have as a pip spread here? We're going to look at that, 79.69. Okay, so it's 10 there as well. It's an easy way to know where that statement price would have been. I got to go back to 7 o'clock. 29. I got to go back to 6 o'clock. I'm sorry. 1800s. If I hover over that, right up here for that bar is where it's going to be. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to look at the close for that, or the open for that 1800. It's 128.46. So that means you would be at 126.46, 128.36. Because you go 10 up, 10 down. So it'd be pretty far down at this point at that level. So I would try to look for something that was here at the low side or somewhere down in this area here. So we'd be really close to this one. I would probably say we could go with this low right here because it's exactly where it was 2 hours or an hour ago, is the center one. So this would be the one that I would go with. So let's just stay with that and hit the play button. This is a good way to practice if you would have gotten taken on. Now remember, if it comes within 1 pip, it's going to act like a trade that got picked up. See, we got one down there for that. You can always speed it up. There we go. So we didn't get into that particular trade because it just never fulfilled because it didn't get close. The act of what we have found is that you do not have to have a bunch of trades on that you're winning every single one you put on. The majority of trades that you put on, you're going to be putting in a working order. You're going to be applying yourself to say, okay, certain things need to happen for me to put the trade on, and certain things need to happen for it to fulfill, right? If you bear into caution, you could get filled and have it at you could have like a medium risk. That still wouldn't have gotten filled. But you could have said, all right, well, I want to get filled, Max, so I'm going to go with a high risk. Don't know if you would have still got filled at that point. Let's see here. 50 and 49. This one would have gotten filled at high risk, but it's high freaking risk. Right? So you have to ask yourself, what type of trader are you? Are you here just to get filled so you can see how well the system will do? Or can you take some time, look a little left, and take this time to actually get to your trades that will fill, but will have a high rate of success? David Manning was putting a picture in of one of his trades and what he looked at to the left and what the levels that he found. And he was in low risk. The majority of his trades are low risk because he knows, and so do I, because I taught him this, that you don't have to be in a ton of trades. You just have to find those perfect trades that will fulfill how you want it to fulfill. And if you're at that low risk and if you've chosen your right levels properly, if the ones that do get filled, you may put 30 working orders on, but in a day, or 20 working orders on, or however long you're going to be doing this, right? Because you can use different pairs and different ones to work with. But if they all fill, you're only going to be winning about 50 to 60%. You could still be ahead at that point. But what you want to try to find are 2 or 3 trades a day that have good setup and good process and win. Because what are we going to add to that? What are we really looking for at this level? Most of you that are here should know that answer. It's CVG, consistency plus volume. Now, all of you should know as well, how do you get to consistency? By applying patience and discipline. I'm answering so you don't have to unmute and come in. You guys know, some of you know these answers like the back of your hand. Those that become very good at trading will then become aware that they don't have to do these extra trades and trying to just get something that you can no-brain it. If you want to no-brain it, get over to Dex Delta. Dex Delta Signals is a no-brain. If you have Zedon hooked up, if you have the luxury of having an automated license, automatic license, then you can have it just trade for you. But even then, you still got decisions to make. That's going to bring me into another segment that I'm going to use this time for you guys in Dex Atomix right now. And I'm not going to apologize because it's for my Zedon people over there too. And I wanted to do this because I'm recording and I might as well use the time that I have here as we're looking at these particular trades. And at the end, then we can ask some questions if you have any questions to come out, some setups maybe you had, maybe you lost or what have you. Remember, you can also at any time, as you're doing these trades, come up here, take a snapshot, right? Very simple. You don't have to have some graphics program to do all this nonsense. Just come in and hit copy, right? Shoot right over to here. Go into your Dex Atomix chat. This is a trade that you've gotten on. Right click and hit paste. Hit enter. This is what that thing's going to do, just like that. We're going to click on it. We're going to have a look at it. You can also, at this point, jump back. Oh, sorry. Jump back over to the copy board. You could say, this is the level that I took. You can put, you can write actually on, I win. I won. Or you could put the number in, or you could do whatever you want at this point. You could put whatever text you want on and put that sample into the Discord. You could do that 30 times a day. I don't care. I will always try to come in and analyze. I will have Ron in there. I will have David in here. We want to know what you're trying to trade. Don't suffer. Right? Now, if we look at some of these trades, let's go back and look at just a couple of them where we would have gotten in, and then I'll go in and do the other thing I was going to say. Medium risk. See, on some of these, I like to see the arrow above, right? So this is a different mentality of doing what we call unvalidated. A long time ago, we created two values, validated and unvalidated. Validated being when it's above the moving average. That means that it's continuing on that power stroke up. These are where we thought we had the best success. But what we found is even on the unvalidated, you may not get a lot of information looking left, right? But what you do get is a power how far back the system is. And these usually work out very, very well with low risk value. And I'll do it like that, and you'll see why here in a second. Okay. Now, this one would have gotten picked up. We would have looked left. We would have seen this 1 year process here starting. We've seen that this is a low, because remember, it's creating new lower lows, right? Where's there another value? This is another value right here. And when they're unvalidated like this, you kind of look, let me pull that back to here because we wouldn't have been there just yet, right? So we know that if it's continuing to create lower lows, where does it want to go next? And this is probably one that I wouldn't have taken at this point because it was too close to this value, even on low risk, because it wants to create what? A lower low, right? And that's here. Now, luckily, this one had a real big push to make that lower low, right? So if I would have been, I can tell you which one it was. What time was this? 14:55. So that's the 4 pip. Yep. So there's 4 pips in statement on this on the Euro JPY. So yes. So back at 1500. So 1 p.m. Looking for the open. That's 128.40 or 128.42. So it would have been 128.38. 38 right here. So I don't think this one would have gotten bought up in reality. You could got it at this level at 42, which would have been like right at the money on the low level. But this would have been a very high risk trade. Even though that we had a low risk marker on it, it still would have been high risk. So even though you could have gotten in, you have to look at what supports your level, right? What do you want this to do? When you're unvalidated, you gotta have to trade it a little bit different than here. This is the mark that we want to have happen. In validated, we want to have an up, a back down, and an up. That's what we want here, right? Here on, excuse me for a second. Here on unvalidated, what we want is almost not sort of like the opposite, but because it's making new lower lows, we want to kind of grab it. We want to have an extension right around here. Why? Because it's going to come in, it's going to bounce down because it wants to be lower, right? We want it to bounce down and pick up and then start to go, but expire before it hits this lower, right? This is where we really wanted to be. Now we wouldn't have known that over here, but if we would have looked left, this would have been the marker that it was going to try to beat. So we would want to be below this line somewhere, right? But that's how I would have traded that one. And this one here, the low marker kind of hit us right where we needed to be, but it didn't get picked up. This is at the low mark, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Not every single signal is going to fit, even though that it says that it got picked up and all that stuff. You don't need to make every single one work and be positive in there. All right. I think it was this one here that he had put in. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. But let's talk about when we're in trading and you're reaching for a goal. Okay. The idea of how much should you go for is never considered in a 24-hour period, right? Ron, if you're here, let me see who else is in the room. What is a goal that you strive to per week? Do you go by per week or per month for you?
Start out at per week, but you ultimately want a monthly goal.
Okay. I find that for me, the monthly, there's two parts. Where do I stop and where do I begin, right? Or where do I stop and where do I finish? I'll never stop my trading on a month value. Like if my goal is $5,000 a month, let's just say 4,000 for easy math. And what does that kind of equate down the list of about $1,000 a week, right? So I would have to then go, all right, well, then I need to make how much a day? I need to make $200 a day if I'm trading 5 days a week. But for me, how I play this out is that I look at my week and I say, if I can obtain about $250 a week, right, on one contract, we're only talking about one contract here. How much do I need to make per week? I need to make $250 at one contract. That'll give me 1,000. So that means at 4 contracts, I would have my $4,000, right? I don't look at an opposite and go back down to a degree. I'm not looking to say, okay, I need to make $7,000 a month, so I have to do these particular trades. What can I make my one contract do consistently every week? And if I get in and I can do that, you can obtain any goal from that point, but it's a good starter reference, right? Where do I start at expecting to get to? You have to use patience and discipline to expect to create your consistency per your one contract, meaning that you're going to start trading and when is enough for you? We all heard the stories of people who walk in and they get some beginner's luck and things start happening and they're starting to trade and then they just overtrade, right? They start to overthink things. Maybe they're like, oh, I can't lose now. The reason there's beginner's luck is because there's a mentality that starts that you're paying attention in the very beginning. You pay attention to detail. You're patient and you're disciplined because you're paying attention to that process. And in most cases, you get a lot of beginner's luck. But then you get overconfident, you try forcing it, you're sitting in the chair for too long, and you start to lose because you make stupid mistakes or you make bad decisions. So my point is, make your decision on your goal very loose in the very beginning because you're looking for consistency. Don't just come up with a number. See what you can physically do. If you can only trade between 8 and 11, you're not going to be trading $3,000 a night. You see, so there's there's restrictions to your limits of what you can physically do. But for me, how I look at this, per my one contract, I want to be at least making $250 to $300 a week. Because once I can create that consistently, then I shut it off. Right? I shut off my mentality that I don't have to sit in that chair for another 4 hours to try to get to that 250. I do the same thing over and over again. I look at those trades, I make that process. If I see something I like, then I go for it. If I get to my 250 per one contract, so that means if I'm trading 4 contracts, how much is that? Right? So if I get to my weekly brand of goal, then I stop for the week. Right? I stop trading live for the week. I may go look at some other sources or try to figure some other things out, but I stop. And at that point, I can either completely stop, or now I really refine my what should I actually, I have to have like perfect signal. It has to have like the complete setup of everything that I've ever wanted in a trade, or I don't trade it. I can be pickier at that point. One thing that we had earlier this week, yesterday to be exact, we have some data for our Dex Delta signals that says that Wednesday nights to Thursday mid-evening to early Friday mornings have a mediocre success rate. And I've been telling the guys, we do very well for a certain part of the week, and then we always seem to make it up from Thursday night to Friday afternoon, and we kind of play that. Mondays are usually pretty bad. Thursdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays kind of play with those numbers a little bit. And we were contemplating whether or not to shut the signals off or allow people to get to those levels and then turn them off themselves. And we decided on the latter. Why? Because we want you to have your decisions. We want you to have the availability to make that decision if you want to stay, and not us be in charge of your patience and discipline at that point. So if you're following Dex Delta signals, we didn't want to turn those off because all of you have your own way of trading them. So that's one thing that you have to start looking at when you're trading at this level, is like, how do I make that the first decision on where to stop at? First and foremost, it's not just about stopping when you're winning. It's also knowing when to stop when you're losing. We used to have this process a while ago that if you lose a couple in a row when you're trading manual, take a break, get up, walk away from the table, stretch the legs, go get some air, go eat some pie, whatever it is, go get a cup of coffee, whatever. Right? You all know the rules of not, drinking and trading, not being too tired and trading, but everybody's tired today. So sit in the chair for short periods of time to make it work. All right. Lastly, there are a lot of tools here that are for your benefit. And the best thing about these tools is that the people that are here with you know them very well. There's some traders in here that know these tools better than I do. Okay. The big ones to really practice with is use the tools that you have in front of us. Use the replay tool. Take yourself back to, I keep writing on this thing. Take yourself, I did it again. What the heck? Nope, I don't know why it's doing it. Okay, there we go. Take yourself back to a couple of days prior to, or however many hours, right? And you start this thing on and you put it on, you put the replay on there and you just hit play. Wait for it to form, you pause it. Don't cheat, just have a look. Look at the back history of this. And even if you just say, here's where the signal is at, right? It's on medium. Where is it at? Where is it falter to? It's on low risk, so it's pretty low. Even if you're going to do low risk and you say, okay, I'm at low risk, I'm right here. Here's where I would have taken it, right? Just because it's on low risk, you don't have to go with that one, right? You're going to look for something that's probably even better. But luckily, you look back left, you say, okay, here's where I would have taken it. And it doesn't matter if there's a Nadex thing here to support this yet or not at this point. What you're doing is just looking, being able to look left and get that feel. And you could take this and you could take a snapshot of it. I don't care how many times. Okay. Sit that, or you can just go in and put a little text on here. You say, is this okay level? Right? And hit okay. and do the picture thing again, hit the copy, jump over to the Discord, pop that in there, and you say something like that. Or you can even use an @ symbol. Okay. You could say Ron, @Ron, and then put the thing in there and go like that. See? And that's going to call Ron's attention to it, or Trader Max, or somebody else that you're using, David M, or what have you. Is this a good level? Now, don't use this as like a trade validation for yourself of should I get into this trade right now? Because we're not going to do that for you. Okay. Practice this, ask us to validate to see if it's good for you, but don't use it under the bond or the word for us to teach you by giving you the answer to this point. You have Dex Delta signals, you have that process. You have some things that you have to learn on your own. And the responsibility for calling signals for you, I don't even call signals for Dex Delta signals. That's the machine that does that. Okay. So in this process, see if this is a good level, then you can call it out like that, and we can have a look at it. You got good pull away, you got this curl happening, you picked a good zone here. Yes, this is a great level to trade with. Don't use this as a live trade variable to be like, all right, Max, answer me please, because I need to know if I can get in this trade or not. Don't put that kind of pressure on us or yourself. Okay. All right. So those are some of the tools that you have that can be utilized. And you're here in the Dex Atomix. I asked a couple people, and I'll wrap this up here in a second. I asked a couple people that have been trading this process for a while. What's more important to you? Trading automated or trading manual? And in the very beginning, all of them said trading auto. If you could just find something that could trade for me and I could just not look at it and not bother with it. But there's sacrifices for that. Trading auto is not always the beginning and end all of everything. Learning how to do this, learning how to use these tools. Somebody said to me once, well, what happens if you go away, Max? What's going to happen with the signals of the process? Well, the signals may go away, but if you know how to trade and use these tools, if the company were to ever to close, we have a contingency plan with the company, is that we would release our full open source process to the general public, to all of our members, I would say. And then you have the right whether or not you want to share it or not. But we would give you the entire code and show you how to use it and show you how to plug in your system. If, let's just say, we were to close, or they wanted us to close, or something were to happen. Ron is one of the new CEOs of the company for Dex Development, and he has that in his contingency as well. So is that we will never, ever, if you are with us right now and you're a paying member and something were to happen, you'll get that code for you to be able to utilize. Okay? So keep that in mind. Learn this process. Trade it every day. Practice, practice, practice. Get to your trader's mind. That's the only thing that's going to keep you going. David M can pull in between $400 to $800 every time he sits down by the computer. He made $1,300 last week when everybody was losing money in trading auto. There's a lot of stuff out there. I'm pretty sure he's well up this week. I didn't lose any money last week because I trade manual. This week, when we took a little hit in the beginning or the middle of the week, we were up $300 and then we were down. I was always up at that point. I took one loss from the Wednesday at 3 p.m., but I went back in and started trading manual a little bit, augmenting some of the trades that I was getting in. We found some golden signal hours in the Dex Delta, which are very powerful, which we're going to be releasing some more information about those. So augment the deal for yourself. Find your patience and your discipline to get to your consistency so you can add volume to get to your freaking goal. Because that's the only thing that's going to make any difference to you in this world of trading. If you wanted something just to be easy and go try to invest in long-term stocks, this isn't it. But once you get it, you can't unsee it. It's not going to change. We've arrived as the family of Dex FX markets. There is nothing else we're bringing to the table in a different mode. We're not like, now we're going to start with Ron Fickert trades or David Menning trades, and you're going to follow him, or there's a new software we have that you're going to be able to use to make better trades. It's the same system we've had now, just finer and finer as we go. If you go back and look at the Dex Atomic, That is the rudimentary begin and end all of the Dex Atomic system. We had the Dex TNT, the Dex Atomic, the Dex Atomix, or Atomic X, and then a Dex Atomix. All the same programs, just better and better. It's the same thing, just sharpened. This is about as sharp as we can get with this process now. Well, no, there's one more level, and that's where we inject Nadex data directly into the system because we're using Spot 4X data right now. So that is probably going to be the final. There's not going to be any more money to you. The Dex Atomics people, wherever you're at right now is where you're going to be at. There'll be no increases to that process. All right. But learn these tools and get in and do them. At this time, does anybody have any questions? Anything I can answer for you? You can unmute and come out. If you can't unmute, you can ask questions in the chat room. There's a little Dex Atomic chat there. No questions? All right. All right. If there's no questions, I'm probably going to head out. Oh, wait. Let's see if did we get bought? No, we didn't get bought on that trade. Came close a few times, I think. Did it? No, it just kind of took off from there.
She love that Miles. I ain't gonna even lie. She love that boy.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody and head out. Ron, you good?
Yep. Yes.
All right.
Great video. Thanks.
I'm going to jump over to Zedon chat or Zedon tester voice and do some stuff in there on the next one. So we'll see you next time. Everybody else have a great day. We'll see you in the next chat room. I'm going to try to be here into tomorrow morning and into the afternoon tomorrow at some time, looking at some trades and stuff, waiting for the noon hour. And if you don't know what that is, you'll find out soon enough. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens at that noon time tomorrow. Everybody else have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, trade well.